In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a fixed vertical navigation with Elementor Pro. Now, many people watched the first version of this tutorial, so here is
the updated one.
Hello, I'm your host Casinio from Casinio.com. I'm the digital alchemist, and today we'll take a look at how we can create a vertical fixed navigation with Elementor Pro. Now, before we dive in, you can do this by following this tutorial, or if you're in a hurry, I've added that feature to Elementor 1.0.5. If you don't know what Elementor is, basically it's a prototyping tool for Elementor that I built. I'll put a handy link in the description, but if you want more info, you can go to wordpress.com. Okay, so first let's take a look at what we're going to build. As you can see, we have two columns. We have the content here on the right hand side, and here on the left hand side, we have our vertical navigation. So when I click on the hamburger icon, there you go. It slides in and it slides back out. Now, if I move on to the tablet version, we have, of course, the regular navigation. We don't want vertical navigation here. And the same thing for the mobile. Now, what do you need to complete this tutorial? Well, I'll be using the Astra theme, the free version of the theme. Then I'll be using Elementor and Elementor Pro. And that's about it. So here are the steps that we'll take to complete this tutorial. First of all, we'll create our pop-up menu. Then we'll take care of our header and footer. And finally, we'll create our single page templates with the two columns layout. So let's dive in. Well, first of all, we want to create our pop-up. So go to templates, pop-ups, and click on add new. So give it a name. I'm going to call it pop-up vertical navigation 01. And we don't want any predefined pop-up. So first of all, we're going to click on the plus and create a one column layout. So we want to make it with a height of a minimum height of 100 VH. Okay, next you want to click on the gear icon at the bottom left corner of the window. And this is for the pop-up settings that we'll take care of right now. So let's start from the top. We're going to keep it at 640 pixels here on the desktop, but you may want to change this. So feel free to change it to your liking. We want the height once again to be custom, and we want to give it 100 VH. We want our content position to be at the top, and horizontally, we want it aligned on the left-hand side because that's where our navigation will be, our vertical navigation. Okay, next, we don't want any overlay. And when it comes to the entrance animation, we want to slide in from the left and we want to slide out to the left. Now for the animation duration, we want to keep it really snappy. I want to keep it really snappy, but you may change the duration and keep the duration that you wish. But I'll use that. Now, for the HTML tag, now it depends. You could be using the header tag here or in the column. So I'm going to use the header tag here to let search engines know that this is actually our header. Now let's move to the style tab. We're not going to style anything except maybe removing the box shadow, but this is personal preference. Now, for the time being, I'm just going to leave it because otherwise it's white on white and you can't really see anything. Now, close button, I'm just going to change the size and give it a size of 28 to make it bigger. Okay, and next let's move to advanced. And for advanced, I want to give it a 5% left margin. So basically, I unlinked the values and gave it a 5% left margin. Now, why 5%? Well, that's because the column that I'm going to use for the vertical navigation is going to be 5%. So if you want to use another figure, if you want to use 6% or 7%, make sure that it matches here and in the single page template. But for the time being, just use 5% just for the left hand side. Now, when it comes to padding, I'm going to unlink the values and add a 70 pixels right and 70 pixels left. Okay, next we have custom CSS, and I'm going to paste some code. Now, this is the code. It will be in the companion blog post, but basically it's selector, and then we have Z index or Z index 10. Now, you may give it another value Now, why do I do this? Just because we want the pop-up to slide behind the column that would be here on the left-hand side. So we're going to give that column a higher Z index or Z index. But here we have in advance, usually we can just input that index, but it doesn't happen here in the pop-up. So for that, we need to use that CSS code. So here it is once again, so you can copy it. Okay, let's make sure that we publish our work just to be sure we don't lose anything. We still need to add the navigation itself, but I like to save it as much as I can. So for the conditions, I want to add this on the entire website, and I'm not going to add anything else. So just click next, then save and close. Next, we want to add the various elements in our pop-up navigation, so the navigation itself, and then I added a call to action button and some social icons. Now, if you're wondering, this navigation, you can find it by clicking on the widgets icon here, and then just type nav, and this is the nav menu here. Okay, now I've already styled it, so in case you're wondering how I styled it, I'm not going to spend too much time because otherwise the video will be too long, but I got plenty of tutorials showing you just how to style to the detail each and every aspect of the navigation. But for the time being, this is just what I'm going to use. So once again, I'm going to update. Okay, now let's take care of the mobile responsive version. So once again, click on the gear icon at the bottom left corner of the window, and we're gonna switch to tablet mode. Okay, so this is our tablet. So first of all, we want to give it a width of 100 VW because we want it full screen. And as you can see, there's a margin here, but we are going to remove that in a moment. So for the rest, we want to change the animation. This time it's going to be sliding from the right, and it's going to slide out from the right also. Okay, general setting, we don't need anything, and neither do we for the style tab. Now for the advanced tab, so I'm just going to unlink all values, and as you can see, it's removed the margin. Okay, and for the rest, I'm going to keep the original padding, which was 70 pixels on the left and on the right. It doesn't show here, but that's because it's taking it from the desktop version. Now, if you really want to make sure you absolutely control the margins, just click on that icon to unlink the values. And once again, put 70 pixels left and right. Okay, so that looks good. Now let's move on to the mobile version. So I'm just going to click here and click on mobile. And once again, it took all the settings from the device that's just above it. So it would take the settings from the tablet. So it's going to keep the slide out and slide in and slide out from and to the right. But I want to change the padding here. So I'm going to unlink the values, and I'm going to give it 20 pixels on the right and 20 pixels on the left. Now, depending on how tall is your navigation, you may want to add some padding on the top and at the bottom also. But for this example, it works quite well. So I'm just going to click on update. Okay, and before we move on, let's go back to the desktop version. And I want to remove that box shadow. So let me go back to style, and I'm going to just remove this. So next, click on update. Okay, now that our pop-up menu is built and ready, we need to move to the second step, which is taking care of our header and footer. So the idea is that with Elementor Pro, you can create your own header and your own footer. So for that, let's go to the WordPress dashboard, then go to templates, theme builder. And here you can create a header and a footer. Well, I've already done it, so I'm just going to show you, but basically you would click on add new, and then you would select either header and footer, and sequentially you would do it one and then the other, and then you would apply it to the whole of your website. Now, why do we do this? Why do we build a standard header if you want to use a vertical header? Well, just because in tablet and mobile, we're not going to use the vertical mode, so we still need it, and you'll understand in a moment. Now, like I said, I've already built it, so let's take a look. Click on Edit with Elementor, and here it is. Now, this is a layout from Elementor, but it's pretty easy to recreate. And once again, I've plenty of tutorials showing you exactly how to build such navigation, but it's quite simple. So I just click on the plus to add a structure with 2 columns like that, and then I styled it to have this header that you see on top. So the left column's got a logo, and the right hand side we have an icon. So for the logo, you want to click on it and make sure you add the site URL. So you would click on dynamic tags and then click on site URL so that it's clickable and links back to the homepage. And for the icon, so you can pick any icon, could be the 3 lions and burger icon, or I just use this one here. And you want to click on the dynamic tags. Then you want to scroll down, go to pop-up. And now we're going to look for the pop-up that we just created in the previous step. So click on the wrench icon, then click on the drop-down where it says all, and start typing the name of the pop-up. That's why it's important to me, in my opinion, to name your pop-ups correctly. So here it is, vertical navigation 1, and it says it's a pop-up. Okay. So that's great. Let me update. And one last thing I want to do, I'm going to select the whole section here on top, go to advanced, and I'm going to give it a class of my-header. So that's the class here. Now, why do I do that? You'll understand in a moment, but basically we're going to add some CSS code so that we don't have to use a plugin for the sticky fixed feature. In my first tutorial, we used a plugin, and here we're just going to copy and paste some CSS code. Nothing to worry about. But we need to reference that section. So here it goes, CSS classes, my-header. So let's update. Great. So let me close that. And now we need to do the same with our footer. So if I go back, you would go to add new, select footer, give it a name, and then you land here. Now, something I need to also show you is that for both the header and the footer, I had already created it, so you didn't get to see the conditions. But let me show you the conditions. So it's exactly the same thing for the header. So if you click on the little arrow at the bottom left corner of the window next to update, it says display condition. So just click on that. And initially it's like this. So we need to add a condition. And all you're going to do is click on add on the entire website and save and close. That's all you have to do. And you need to do the same thing for the header that I've shown previously. So that's going to replace your theme header and your theme footer. And we'll need it to complete this tutorial. Now, it could work with your regular theme header and footer, but I cannot guarantee it. So at least for the sake of this tutorial, just do exactly the same thing that I'm doing here on screen. Because I've had some people telling me, they couldn't complete the tutorial. And the thing is, when I looked at some of the steps, they forgot some of the steps. So make sure you follow with the same theme. Just be sure that you can get it working, and then you can tweak it to your liking. Okay, so next we want to click on a section, same thing, go to advanced, and we want to add a class of my footer. So my-footer. Now there is already a CSS ID called my footer without the dash. And I also wanted to show you this to show you that this is completely different. For the code we're going to use, my footer is an ID and doesn't have the dash. And it's completely different from a CSS class called my-footer. Now, if you don't know anything about CSS, don't be confused. For the time being, just type my-footer. Okay, and let me update. Okay, so the next step now is to create our single page template. And this is where some people got it wrong in the first tutorial. So I'm going to show you. Let's go to WordPress. So where you want to go to templates, theme builder. And you land here where we were previously with the header and the footer. Then you want to click on the single tab here at the top, single. Okay. And next you want to click on add new single. you're going to select a page, and we're going to give it a name of page template single vertical 01 or whatever you want to call it. Now, where some people got it wrong in the first tutorial, in the first version of this tutorial, is that some people just created a page, but this is not what we're creating. We're not creating a page. A page would be just the content that you add to a regular WordPress page. This is the structure that's going to be shown on the page. So to be crystal clear, usually a page is just one block with the content, and then you add all the widgets you want with Elementor, and that's it. Here we're going to create a different layout for the page. It's going to be left and right column, and we're going to use the left column as the vertical navigation. So basically, this is not the content itself, it's the structure of how all the pages or any page we want is going to look. But it'll be clearer in a moment. So let's click on create template. Okay, and once again, we don't want any predefined template. And now we're going to build what you're here for. So first of all, we want to click on the plus, and we're going to create a 2-column structure. Next, we want to select a minimum height of 100 VH. Okay, and we want to make sure, if you look at content width here at the top, that it's full width. We don't want any column gap. Okay, for the content position, we want it to be stretched. So next, we want to select our column here and give it a width of 5%. So we have 5, and automatically the second one is 95%. Okay, and we're going to, so with our first column selected, we're going to start styling it. So let's go to the Style tab, click on Background tab, Classic, and we're going to give it a color. You can pick any color you want. I'm going to pick that one. And for the moment, we still see the top navigation, but don't worry, because in a few minutes, it will be completely gone. So this is our left column, and this is going to be our vertical navigation. And here on the right hand side, we want to add the content. But before we do that, we want to click here on the second column, go to advanced. We want to unlink the value so it gives a zero margin everywhere, and we do the same for the padding, because we don't want any extra content, extra padding or spacing for the content. Okay, and if you're wondering what I'm doing, just take a look. So we're going to click on the widgets icon here at the top, and we're going to look for post content. So it's right here. If you can find it, just type it, but it's really here at the top, and we're going to drag it here. And as you can see, it picked up a random piece of content that I have on the website. And if you want to change it, because it picks one randomly, but I'm just going to click on the gear icon here at the bottom left corner. And in previous settings, I can select the page I want to use. So I'm just going to use the home page. Then click on apply and preview. And there you go. This is my home page. Now it doesn't look that good for the moment, because as I said, we still have that top header, but don't worry for that for the moment. So first of all, we need to add our logo here on top. And for that, I'm just going to drag an image widget here, and I'm going to select an image from the library. So I'm going to pick that one, and it's a bit too big. So I'm just going to go to the Style tab and give it a width of 50%. Okay. And next, I want to add an icon. So it's right here somewhere. When you can't find something, you can just type it. Okay, so I'm just going to drag an icon just below the logo, and I'm going to select grip lines. And once again, it's too big, so I'm going to change the size. Okay, let's make it like this. And next, we want to add some social icons. And for that, I'm just going to use an icon list widget. So basically you go here to the widgets icon, and I'm going to type icon list, and then I'm just going to drag it here. Now I'm just going to remove the text. Actually, I can remove those two. It will be cleaner. So I'm just going to remove the text, and I'm going to select Facebook, for example. Okay, then I'm just going to duplicate this, select Instagram, and last but not least, let's choose YouTube. And actually, you're watching this on YouTube probably, so let's make it first. Okay, next we want to style this, so let's go to style, align it in the middle, go to icon, and we are going to increase the size, and then go back to list, and we're going to change the space between. Okay, so for the moment, once again, it doesn't look that good because everything is just so close together, but we're going to change that in a moment. But you can already see that there's a problem with the padding, because once that top header disappears, we don't want the logo to be really on top, and we won't want the social icons to be at the very bottom, at touching the edge. So select your column, then go to advanced and link the padding values, and we want to give it a top padding of 30 and a bottom padding of 30 also. Okay, so that's looking better. Now let's go back to our various elements. So the first one is our logo. We want to go back to the content tab, and we want to link it to the homepage, because that's something people are used to. So where it says link, click on custom URL, dynamic tags, and click on site URL, and now it's clickable. Next, we want to click on the icon, go to the content tab, and once again, where it says link, you want to click on dynamic tags, and we're going to click on pop-up, then click on the wrench icon, click where it says all, and I'm going to type vertical because it's the pop-up that we created previously, and now it's linked to the pop-up. Okay, and for the social icons, what you would do, of course, you would go to content and you would give it real links, but we're not going to do that now. So it's starting to take shape, and now I'm going to select my column here, go to advanced, and if you recall, we gave a z-index of 10 for the pop-up, but we want this to be on top of the pop-up. We want the pop-up to slide behind it. So we're going to give it a z-index of 11. Okay. Next, let's select our column, go back to the layout tab. And for vertical alignment, we're going to select space between. So now it's going to space evenly the elements, but we're still not quite there, because you see this page is very long. So you don't want people to scroll all the way down just to click on social icons, and they can't even access the navigation without scrolling. So we don't want that. So this is where we're going to just copy and paste some CSS. But before we do that, we need to add some CSS classes, just like we did for the header and the footer. So with our first column selected, go to advanced, and where it says CSS classes, we want to add my-vertical-nav. So just make sure you write that in CSS classes, my-vertical-nav. Okay, and now let's select our second column, go to advanced, and this time we want to have my-vertical content. So my-vertical content. Now don't worry, like I said, you will find everything actually in the CSS code that you find on the companion blog post. Okay, so now we're ready to paste our CSS code. And for that, we want to click on the gear icon at the bottom left corner of the screen, then go to advanced, and this is where we're going to paste the code. Now the alternative would be to paste that code somewhere else. most of the WordPress themes have a place where you can paste CSS or write CSS code that's going to be applied globally. So it's really up to you. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to use it here. So I'm just going to make this larger so that you can see, and I'm going to paste that. So it looks like it's complicated. In obviously, if you're a coder or front-end developer, that's not going to be bothering you. If you never touch code, you might think, oh, what's that? But all you need to do is really copy and paste it. Let me quickly explain. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but let me quickly explain. So basically, this code is going to be applied when the screen size has a minimum width of 1025 pixels. Why did I choose that? Is because most tablets, they would stop at 1024 pixels. And here we want that code to be applied to the desktop versions. Now, depending on your project, you may want to use a different value, lower or higher. But once again, for the sake of this tutorial, this is what we're going to use. So basically, this code is only going to apply to 1025 pixels and above. So first of all, we want to make sure that the header, the standard header, is not displayed in desktop mode. And then we want to make sure our left column is fixed. Now, as you can see, now the issue we had is not there anymore. So let me select this, remove it. As you can see, it's all gone back to being spaced too far apart. So let me paste it back. And now it just works fine. And we can scroll, and the left column is sticky. Actually, it's fixed to be exact. So the next piece of content, my vertical content, is just making sure there's a margin left of 5%, which is the same value than the 5% of the column, which is also the same value of the 5% we used for the pop-up navigation, if you recall. Let me go back. And last but not least, we also want to give a left margin of 5% for the footer. Now, I could have written the code just using like vertical content, my footer in one declaration, but I just wanted to make sure that if you want to change the values, you realize you need to change it individually. So if you want to use a column of 7%, you want to change 7%, 5 to 7% here, and 5% to 7% here also, and also for the pop-up. But if you don't want to be confused, just use 5%. It works great. Okay, so now let me close this and let me publish. So it's going to ask me, where do you want to show, where do you want to use that page template? Once again, we're not talking about a page. We're talking about the structure of a page. This is the trick we use to create that vertical navigation. So if you just want to use it on some pages, you will just select each page by typing the name of the page. So you could select the page individually, or you could use all singular. So if you select that, it's going to use it on all pages, basically on blog posts also. And you should be using it on pages like the 4 page, search page, and so on. But if it doesn't, you can still add conditions and really target precisely where you want that page template to apply. So for the time being, I'm just going to select all singular, but like I said, you could select all pages. So click on save and close. Okay, so this is the moment of truth. So let's refresh. And there you go. If I click, it works fine. Let me scroll down and we have our beautiful vertical fixed navigation. Working great. Okay, but now if you move to the mobile version, you're going to notice something. So in the mobile version, we still have that left column and we don't want that. And if I select, so that's the iPad version. If I select the phone version, we have the same thing here. And we don't want that. We don't want that left column to appear. So for that, let's go back. Let's select our first column, then go to responsive. And we want to make sure that we hide it on tablet and on the mobile. So let's update. Now let's go back, refresh, and voila, looking good. But now if we move back to the tablet version, let's refresh. And as you can see, there's something here on the right hand side. And that's very simple. If you recall, so let's go back. Here we have that column that's 5%, and this column is, so let me go back, 5% here. So this one is approximately 95%. Now, when we remove that column in the responsive mode, what we just did, it's fine. But that column for the tablet, it's still 95%. And that's why you see that spacing here. So what we need to do is go into tablet mode and give it 100%. And just to be on the safe side, we're going to do the same thing for the mobile version. So 100% for both. And now let's move back, let's refresh. And there you go. So as you can see, when we're in the tablets and in the mobile version, we use the standard header. And let me refresh in desktop mode. In desktop mode, the same page, we now have our vertical fixed navigation working beautifully. So I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial, and I can't wait to see what you're gonna come up with. Now, creating a prototype and that type of navigation is the first step, and the next step is the branding. And you're lucky because I created a brand identity guidelines that you can download on my website for free. Now, initially, it was made to work with the Affinity Designer software, but you can make it work with Illustrator with a workaround. So if you're interested, just go to kesina.com/branding. So if you enjoyed this tutorial, please give this video a thumbs up because it really helps with the algorithm and growing this channel. Now, if you're not yet subscribed and you want more tutorials and you also want tips to grow your creative business or creative career, make sure you subscribe to this channel and please smash the notification bell so that you don't miss anything. So that's it for this video. I hope to see you in the next one. And in the meantime, don't forget to invest
in your success.